everyone. Welcome to the Daily Grind. My name is Kelly Johnson, your fun and friendly host, and we are on episode 25, the very best one yet. I want to briefly introduce and give an exciting announcement that the Daily Grind has joined the Ambiguous Network. So now make sure you follow the podcast at KJF Daily Grind on Instagram and Facebook. As for me, you can find my personal social media at Kelly J. Lefty on Twitter and Instagram. If you like what you hear today, be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. That's right. We're on Google, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. The most important is now ambiguousproduction.com, where you can find even more content from the Ambiguous Network, like You Mad Bro, which covers all the news stories people can't stop talking about, the Sam Bustle podcast, which covers movies and entertainment, and the GDP, which interviews goal-driven professionals with a goal-driven process. That is all the housekeeping I have, so without further ado, let's move ahead towards our special guest interview with Erin Magennis for today. Disclaimer, in our earlier recording for this episode, we had some tech difficulties in capturing the first few minutes, but yours truly was able to overcome those challenges and still capture the majority with Erin. So let me introduce you to Erin. She's a tech founder, neuroscientist, mindset coach, Wisconsin 25 under 25, speaker, yogi, and Hatch top 100 next gen individuals. She lives and works in the Milwaukee area, and overall great person to have on our show today. So welcome, Erin. Woo! As a recent college grad with many of her accomplishments in both health and wellness and tech, can you tell our listeners what you're currently working on?
So where I'm at right now, I'm primarily focused on like the tech startup scene in health, community, and education. So right now my biggest kind of venture is called Calmlet, which is a mobile app that helps people manage stress and anxiety in the moment.
Very nice. Yeah. Maybe if you want to start out also like a fellow Wisconsinite. I was originally from born and raised in Waukesha, Wisconsin. So definitely like the Wisconsin vibes. But first of all, how'd you get your interest in tech?
Yeah, so really within just over the past year, I've fallen into tech. So my underlying passion is really in health and just helping people live the best life that they can live. And as I've explored that further, tech just became the obvious answer. Everything can become so much more effective, automated, and we can have this huge data set about ourselves and world around us that otherwise wouldn't be possible if we didn't leverage technology.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really well said. Like today's day and age, like everyone has a smartphone, everyone's using the World Wide Web, using different pieces of technology, both products and services to, function in their daily lives. Things have changed over the years for sure. Did you, I guess maybe jumping right into you founding your own business, Calmlet, how did you, I guess, get inspired to be an entrepreneur and start that business?
Yeah, so like I said, my passion is really in health. So when I was a freshman in high school, I was diagnosed with a condition called dysautonomia and POTS, which stands for postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, which came along with a whole goodie bag of other symptoms and other conditions tacked onto it as well. So when I was 14, 15 years old, I really started to realize how important our body is and how important our health is, and especially when people might get diagnosed and have these chronic, incurable conditions that don't have a lot of research on them yet. We really are forced to turn to other types of modalities to manage ourselves and manage our life so we can keep living something that we enjoy. And so from there, I learned a lot of different management techniques and was able to get back to going to school full time, get back to running after not being able to walk up my driveway, get back to being able to think and retrain my body to do all these things that it once knew how to do really, really well. But then once I got sick, it kind of completely forgot. So in the process of doing that, during my freshman year of college, I realized that a lot of the things that I had learned to, in a sense, hijack my body, are super transferable to people that are experiencing stress or anxiety, which affects 18 times more people in our population. So that seemed like a no-brainer to me if I really care about helping people be as healthy as they can and live their best life. So I took a lot of that background, paired it with my background in holistic health and neuroscience to come up with this idea for an app that makes a lot of those techniques manageable and implementable right when people need it most.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really cool that you were able to combine your passion and also background in like science and technology, and now you've created the Calmlet, the smart bracelet device, and with that community-based app to help with stress and anxiety. Again, two important topics in today's realm in business and just in general in life. I feel like nowadays those are doing self-care and treating your body right, and both physical and mentally, is really important to live a healthy life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and especially for entrepreneurs, since kind of going down this entrepreneurial path myself, and just trying to understand, okay, who would really benefit from this type of app and device, I have found a bit of research on entrepreneurs and just how a lot of entrepreneurs end up having different mental illnesses over the course of their lifetime. It's 1 in 2 for entrepreneurs, which is a huge number of people. So it's really essential that if we care about our business or the future of whatever mission we might be on, or about our employees, that we're really focused also on taking care of our own mental well-being. Otherwise, none of that will be possible.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's a staggering fact. 1 in 2 entrepreneurs. I did not know that. Very, very well aware now. It's really great that too, with your personal story, coming back from a health setback in order to actually come back and found your own company. Now you're helping others in health and with their whole mindset in general. Really great story to tell. I guess too, with building your business entrepreneurship wise, did you take classes in college? Did you have mentors or other people that you talked to? How did you help grow it to where it is now?
Yeah, so during my freshman year of college, I took part in an entrepreneurial skills accelerator program called the Commons. And that was really where I began to be exposed to what design thinking is, how I should be thinking about who my ideal customer might be, how I should be thinking about pivoting. Because when I came up with the concept originally, who I thought it would be ideally for is not who I'm trying to address now. So just the whole process of learning how to listen to your potential customer, who you might think they are, because they're going to tell you everything that you need to know, whether you want to hear it or not. But it's just going through that program, it was able to expose me to, all of these other things are essential beyond just I think this is a cool idea. That doesn't really mean that much if nobody wants it.
Yeah.
So I did that internship during my freshman year, and then since then I was able to start getting integrated just kind of into the network and the ecosystem. So I'd go to different conferences and workshops and events all of the time, and just kind of really delving in there, being surrounded with like-minded people, I think has been so essential. But when I was in school, I only took one business class. All of my classes were like biology, chemistry, neuroscience, basically.
No, that's totally fine. I think yeah, I didn't take that many science classes either in college. I just did the minimum. I went to University of Wisconsin-Madison, and for my business degrees, there's just a minimum of 6 credits, and 3 of them I did a nutritional science class, which was really good. I did appreciate learning what were good foods to eat and what nutrients I should be getting in my body and whatnot. But the other 3 I went to, I think it was geography I just did. I was like, oh, this seems easy. I like to travel. Yeah, so definitely, unfortunately, the science didn't do too much, made a difference in my college career. But I like what you said. The key takeaway there was networking at all these conferences and workshops and events that you went to. I think that's key as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, and for, I guess, the first couple of years that I was kind of delving into exploring what entrepreneurship is, I really just thought that, if you put your head down, do the work, you'll be successful, which I'm now realizing maybe you'll be successful, but there's this whole other piece of who do you know, who are you connected to, who are they connected to, how can you help them, how can it be a win-win situation, how can we all benefit together, that I don't think I was ever really taught, and I never really realized how valuable that concept is, and since realizing that, it's kind of been a huge shift in just how I've interacted with other people or going to conferences. Yes, there are some fantastic speakers, but maybe it's also the person sitting right next to me that will be the game changer for me.
Yeah, just people that you're surrounded by, and then from our previous episodes, like Rachel Cash that I had on, she mentioned as long as you talk, the more you talk about what you do, the more help that you're able to get out there. And I think that's pretty straightforward in any industry. She's coming from data and privacy industry, but even too within tech or just whatever career path that you're taking, I think the more that you share your story and what you do, the more than likely people know someone or they are the person that you can connect with to help benefit on both ends of the relationship. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. There's so much that I've learned from kind of these outside of school activities, like the business world, that have translated fantastically into research and science. And then there have been some incredible just training that I've gotten from being trained to think scientifically that has helped me tremendously as an entrepreneur. And just kind of being able to dip my toes into both of those different pools, I've realized how many similarities they share. So in science, we have the scientific method where you think of a hypothesis, you do an experiment, you see what the results are, and then you go from there. You might make a different experiment, or you'll see if you're completely wrong, or if there's some interesting finding in that, and that kind of determines where you go in the future. And that same type of thinking completely applies to entrepreneurship, where we might think, oh, this is going to be a great product, everybody wants it, but if we go out and do a little experiment, do a little pilot test, we might find out that we're completely wrong, or we might find out that we're right in a very different way, and that can guide the future of where we're going. So I think learning how to think experimentally can be incredibly powerful if you're interested in the business world as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like what you said in comparing entrepreneurship with science and science of the business world too. Straight on, for sure. Can you share with us maybe any challenges that you've recently faced with your business, or even as an entrepreneur in general, and how you've overcome them?
Yeah, so for a long time, I had been struggling with, okay, I have a background in neuroscience and yoga and more of like the health and the content side of it. But I know that a lot of the future of the world will have a tech component to it. So should I be outsourcing for the development? Should I be hiring on to my team? Should I just go out and learn the skills myself? And I kept going back and forth and thinking I came to the right conclusion and then going back and being like, no, but this other way really makes sense, or chatting with other people that have gone down similar paths and they've tried these 3 things and this one worked well, but that their advice completely conflicts with someone else's. And I finally determined that I just need to learn it myself. So at the beginning of 2019 was when I really delved into teaching myself how to code in Swift. So I started out with Swift, which is the language to develop for like iPhone and Apple products. And from there, it's been interesting just kind of retrain myself how to think in these different ways, and also really rewarding, because before I had this concept in my mind like, oh, technology and programmers and coders, they are a certain type of people, they have their own bubble, it's really hard to like get into it and be in the tech field or be a programmer. But there's so many resources online that it can really be quite accessible, which I was happy to find out because it's helped me get to the stage I'm at now. And just moving forward, that will make more people, I think, be empowered to create their own solutions and create better solutions for everyone else around us.
That's amazing. First of all, kudos to you and like self teaching yourself Swift and code. That's incredible. I don't know how to do that. I know a lot of listeners out here don't know how to do it. Yeah, I was just gonna ask too. Just self teaching how to do those programs. Did you look at classes online, other resources? I know someone that we've talked to actually earlier. Well, not early this year, last year now since it's 2020. Taylor Bond I interviewed, he used LinkedIn Learning for more of a business development side, but I was wondering if you used any other online resources to learn those.
Yeah, so when I first got started, I'm like, I'm just going to learn only like the skills I need to learn to develop out the app to like what the designs I have laid out. So I did that, and I did that just by watching like YouTube videos and going on Stack Overflow, which is kind of just like a question answer forum for code related questions. Mm-hmm. And they have almost every question that you can imagine, and at levels that I was at that time, which was so helpful. To also encourage along the way. So I started out there, and so I built out the basic version of the app, and then I realized that it doesn't work on any other size screen for a phone, which is problematic. Mm-hmm. So I decided that, okay, I should probably learn some more of the foundations. So I just signed up for a couple of courses on Udemy for like $10 a piece and went through those, which they have a ton of tutorials step by step where you build out these other apps, which has fantastic like positive reinforcement along the way, because as you're going you can say, oh, I built this now. So it definitely helps from that standpoint as well to keep going and kind of encourage me to like keep pursuing learning how to code. And then from there, once I established that foundation, I was able to adapt it to what I ultimately wanted to build out. So there's just a ton of different resources. Also, Apple has a annual conference each year, and they have an insane number of videos on everything from like designing with the different compliance for like disability accommodations basically in your apps, to really nitty gritty specific like code algorithms. So that's a fantastic resource as well. And I just never realized how much is out there that's specifically there just to help me and you and whoever else that wants to learn it.
Definitely, yeah, that's great. Using all these different resources to help like learn and grow to where you are today. I guess too, do you have a team at Calmlet to help support your growth?
Yeah, so I've had a couple of different interns along the way to really pursue some of the more like innovative sides of things. So looking more at some of the machine learning training models, and then also exploring some of the electrical engineering for the bracelet device. But a lot of it has primarily been me at this point. And I guess coming back to one of your other questions just about different struggles I faced, I've also gone back and forth about like, oh, do I want to grow this and take on like outside funding from venture capital or some other company to like invest in me? Do I want to bring on different co-founders? How do I want to grow this? Which I'm still figuring out the answer to that. And I think as I continue to grow, I'll always still be trying to figure out the answer to how do I want to keep growing. But right now it's primarily me, and then my mom has also been a fantastic supporter, so she helps with a lot of like the bookkeeping and just some of the details that I may have overlooked had I not had her support. So having her kind of in the background to be like, oh, did you make sure you followed up to this person? They seemed like a great person to follow up with. Having that in the background really has helped, I think, keep me on track, especially when things get kind of crazy.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, being just the sole founder of a business is huge, and surrounding yourself with supporting friends and family, I think is important for you to stay motivated and also to share your story. And I think it's just you get good overall positive vibes from having people that have positive impact on your life, or they're your own personal cheering squad, basically. So I think that's great to have in the business setting. I guess transitioning more over to your health background and everything, can you talk a little bit more about you and your passion for health and wellness and what you do out in the community too?
Yeah, absolutely. And tying into the idea of community, I guess that's one other piece of, we don't always think of our community being part of our team, but if I didn't have like the community and the network that I have, I definitely would not be where I'm at today. So I think that's a huge other team member, even though it's a collective team member, but just surrounding myself with like-minded people, with other people that are just those number one fans and cheerleaders along the way has been great. And people that are at other stages in their life and their career and have this invaluable insight that I don't yet have the experience to know everything that they know. And just finding those different mentors has been hugely important, I think, for me as well. But coming back to the idea of health, so after I got sick, I had to go to school part-time for 2 years. And then during that time, I tried the Western medical route, which did not work out for me very well at all. So then I was exploring other options for just how to get my body to feel a little bit better or function a little bit better. And then I went on to become a therapeutic nutritional counselor. So when you said you took that nutrition class, I was jumping for joy in the inside because nutrition is so important, and I don't think we're taught that enough, like in our community. And there's so many different events that also are surrounded by food, and we don't always realize that. Like, we just had the holidays, which can oftentimes throw people off track for a whole variety of reasons, but really paying attention to our food and our movement. So I've become a yoga instructor and a group fitness instructor, and just moving a little bit every day can do wonders. They've done a good number of research studies that have basically found that exercise is basically the most reliable antidepressant that we have. And, like, I don't think that's shared enough. For, at least for me, when I was growing up, I was told, like, oh, exercise, it's good for you. But why? And it just does fantastic things to our cardiovascular system, just making it more resilient. It helps us handle stress better, helps with our breathing patterns, and just kind of reoxygenates our whole body and our mind. So there are just so many things that are within our own power, especially when we might feel like we don't have that power. We really do. So when I was in high school, I kind of took that whole background and training, did a bit of holistic health coaching, and that was really my first taste of entrepreneurship, where I learned how to do like health expos and make a mailing list and do basic marketing. But going into college and that innovation program was really where I saw kind of how you might scale some of that thinking or approach it in a more efficient way.
Yeah, really, really well said. That's awesome. Kudos to being a yoga and group fitness instructor. I'm really big into tennis and running, so I try to do yoga once a week when I can. Definitely a great exercise, like you mentioned before, most reliable antidepressant. I use it as a stress reliever myself. I know a lot of other listeners out there use that to help, that work-life balance type of thing. Health coaching, that's great. So you have that really great, you're very well rounded in regards to business and health and technology. It's like a trifecta basically. Do you still continually do some of the things, your health positions right now, like such as coaching or teaching group exercise and yoga?
I do kind of more pop-up events for those different types of things. So I'll do pop-up like mindfulness events or a pop-up speaking event on something health related. Or like recently in Milwaukee, there was a conference called Fall Experiment. So I had a whole wellness lounge there, held a couple of workshops, some yoga sessions, had a Zen dome. So I've been doing a lot more of kind of the pop-up engagements or going into different groups or organizations and speaking to them on, okay, what could be something that might be really easy that you could implement into your organization or your culture that could make a huge difference in how people perform or how they feel or how they might feel towards you as a company or a leader, or help them be healthier, whatever kind of that group might be facing at that time. So that's kind of what I've been doing a bit of lately.
That's great. Yeah, the different pop-up events, sessions, things in the Milwaukee area. Has your involvement in, I guess, that health arena helped benefit your business, Calmlet? Like, can do things overlap? Have you gained connections in one area to help benefit the other? Do you have any success stories in that area?
Definitely. I mean, just being able to, I really enjoy speaking and teaching. So being able to put myself in that environment, I'm able to meet 20, 30, 40 people in one go. And they're all able to learn a little bit about me just throughout that presentation, or throughout that experience or whatever I might be leading. And through that, there have been some incredible connections that I've been able to get out of it that have led to other opportunities down the line for Calmlet or for other initiatives that I'm involved with. So, I mean, that all comes back to just the idea of enhancing your network in general and just cultivating that along the way. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. That's really cool. Do you have, I guess, outside your daily work, do you have things to do to find that work-life balance? I know you mentioned yoga and like meditation, all those other things, but other hobbies outside those areas to help, your own stress relievers?
Yeah, so similar to what you said, exercise is a huge, just kind of resetting mechanism for myself. So for the past maybe 6 to 9 months, I've been swimming pretty much every morning. And for me, I just am able to get into this state of flow, and a lot of times in the middle of my swim workout, I'm like, oh, that's a perfect solution to this problem I've been trying to figure out. Or, oh, that's an interesting approach to something that maybe someone else I know is facing. So that's definitely one consistent thing. Back to the idea of nutrition, I've been vegan and gluten-free for the past about 7 years now, and I first realized that type of eating pattern was really helpful for me when I was quite ill, and maintaining that just gives me so much more energy, and just really helps to manage a lot of my symptoms. So I guess those are two things that, like, they're just an essential part of my life. Like, they're unquestionable. And maybe I don't swim one day and I do, like, a HIIT workout class instead. But in general, those are two kind of really key things. And then I also love to travel. So definitely getting in my travel fix. Usually I'm off somewhere once a month, at least once every 2 months, and oftentimes that's tied with a conference of some sort. So I'm meeting cool people along the way that just really make the whole experience even better. So those are kind of like 3 key things that, in addition to like yoga and meditation.
Yeah, great to hear. I was just going to ask, if you travel for your business, like go to conferences and different events, do you have to travel often? Or are you within just the Midwest, across the U.S.? Like, what's the scope?
Yeah, so being, like, primarily focusing on the app portion of it, I can work on it from wherever. Having those in-person contacts definitely helps to expand things. So coming back and keeping kind of that engagement in the Milwaukee area has definitely been helpful. But also, like, going to a conference and then going to a similarly minded conference where I might see some people that I saw at the last conference, just each contact point kind of helps to reestablish that network and just all of those connections along the way. But I basically have control over my own schedule, so I can travel whenever I want within reason, which has been a really nice plus to this type of lifestyle. Just if I, like, last October, a week before a conference started out in Boston. I stumbled across it. I'm like, oh, this is a perfect conference. I want to go to it. And I was able to. So just those types of things have been really great for being able to continue connecting with the people that I want to be connecting with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really great to hear. And then having that flexible schedule, being able to travel, and then also network and find connections and help grow your business and your own daily grind and whatnot. And seems like things are going really well. Did you foresee yourself? Let's rewind 5 years ago. Did you picture yourself in the spot that you're at today? Being Wisconsin 25 under 25, owning your own business. All the awards and accomplishments that you've done so far, did you see that before college?
No. And even 2 years ago, I was still on the path to go straight onto medical school, get my MD or MD PhD immediately afterwards, and really just delve into the purely medical world of, okay, how can we help people be healthier in this manner, and doing more research, larger scale research to understand how different people function or what type of treatments they respond best to. And especially for these more complex, nervous system conditions similar to what I have, or other kind of conditions that we're still trying to figure out more as a medical and scientific community as a whole. So 2 years ago, I was writing my pre-med statement, and then very much in that type of mindset. But then I realized, it might be helpful to get real world experience as well. Have some of that background of how, if you find out some key information or do get your hands on some data that could really help enhance people's lives, how might you go about scaling it to actually have an impact? And that's what led me into technology.
That's really interesting. Do you foresee yourself, actually, maybe we'll fast forward, I don't know if 5 years is too much, but do you see in the future continuing down this path and in tech, or branching out further, or what do you think? New Year's resolutions, goals or objectives?
I'm really interested in data and research. I just think that being able to have concrete data in your hands can tell you so much about what's going on. So through Calmlet, I'm working on trying to establish relationships with different anxiety clinics or pain labs, or just any other types of researchers, just to be able to collaborate together and enhance what I might be collecting. Obviously, have it be all secure and people can opt in and out of research as they please. But being able to provide that opportunity that if you want to, in a secure and anonymous way, you can help contribute to the larger picture of, okay, how does stress really affect us and what can we do about it? And then expanding out to other types of topics. So in that pursuit, I think there are definitely a couple different paths that I could take to get there. I could keep going down kind of the very startup entrepreneurial route, or I could delve more into the research side and conducting that with developing and scaling these apps as the partner component to it. And I don't think they're going to be mutually exclusive, but right now I just see multiple paths to kind of keep working towards this objective that just really resonates with me.
Yeah, and you already do have a research background already, being a co-author for a health and wellness reference book. Do you foresee down the road too, having your own publications, talking to other people like myself on a podcast, or you've mentioned you've done presentations before, more in the realm of like public speaking and media, and that kind of research component. Do you foresee like that area too?
Definitely. Like I've been speaking for about a decade now, so I really enjoy just being able to take something that I've learned and be able to present it in a way to someone that might be more accessible to them. So especially in the science world, we can get very jargony and use all these fancy terms when really we might be saying something pretty simple that I think everyone should have that access to understanding, so then it can enhance their life. So I'm really interested in kind of that translational of, okay, how do we take data, or how do we take research, or how do we take whatever information we might have out there, or even just summarizing our current state of well-being, or our current state of technology or community or the entrepreneurial ecosystem, and put it into a statement that something can actually be done with it. And I see that both on the large scale, so trying to continue scaling up the size of the audiences that I might be presenting in front of, continuing to expand wide on the different types of people I've presented in front of. Right now, that in general has spanned from like a middle school assembly to a senior citizen like learning group. So continuing to like keep that spectrum open, and then also expanding on the different backgrounds people have. So that might be talking to leaders at a company and sharing with them, oh, here are some different things that you might be able to do that can really help enhance your company's culture and make it a better place for people to work, or make it a better place for their mental well-being and their physical well-being, which will in turn result in massive returns on investment in terms of productivity and money. In addition to just like enhancing our community at large, which I've recently delved a bit more into kind of these more community initiatives as well.
Yeah, you have such a diverse background with the people that you've talked to in front of so far, and one of your strengths is to tailor your message to the audience that you're at, which you've done already and you continually do. Can we transition more into like your community background, what you've done, I guess, outside of business? I know you've been involved with Code for Milwaukee. Can you touch about community?
Yeah, so Code for Milwaukee is a civic tech volunteer group where basically we get people together. A lot of them might have a tech background, so they're a programmer or developer, and help connect them with people that see problems and also solutions to problems that our community faces. So that might be other nonprofits might come to us and say, hey, we think this should really exist, but we don't know how to build it out. Can you help us? Or chatting with government officials to help move things along or make data accessible so our community can know where we stand. And so through that group, I'm the community organizer, and right now I'm in the process of setting up an internship for high school and college students to work on actually building out these types of solutions, identifying different problems that they care about, and then helping lead them through, okay, how do we think about innovative solutions to solving this problem? And then going through about 10 weeks to help teach them some different tech skills to actually build out an app or a website or something that other people can engage with and it can actually help them. I know that if I would have been able to be exposed to these project-based learning opportunities and impact-driven initiatives at that younger age, I think that could have been really powerful, just in laying a foundation and a frame for which everything else I'd be learning could be placed upon. So that's what I'm working on right now, and working on getting connected with those different school teachers that are trying to create more meaning in their classrooms or have these project-based learning initiatives, or with different group leaders that work with students or just younger people in general, in addition to young people that are interested in making an impact on the world and delving into how they might go about doing it.
Mm-hmm. That's great. I love that you support a lot of project-based learning opportunities for people, young adults, high school students. You're creating lots of different opportunities, and you're inspiring them to take the initiative on something that they're passionate about. And I think we need more people out there in the world, young leaders, growing whatever industry they're at and wherever they're passionate about. And I think, you're helping them making that transition and moving in the right direction, which is great. So moving in the right direction, I guess. Erin, what's on your daily grind in the upcoming weeks or later this year?
Yeah, so right now I'm really focused on just acting and producing. So for me, I'm really good at analyzing things and thinking and collecting a lot of information, but I have historically been slower to actually do something impactful with it. And if that's what I'm kind of preaching over the next year, I usually give myself a word or kind of just a frame of mind of what is my goal for this year. And this year it's just commitment. So saying, okay, I want to make this update for the app by the end of this week, which is my goal for this week. Actually making that happen rather than being stuck on all these tiny little fixes that, in the scheme of things, nobody else is probably going to really notice. And if they do, then they can let me know. But if I don't get that produced, then they'll notice that portion of it. So that's really what I'm focused on, and just acting faster than just thinking. So, like for instance, with this internship for Code for Milwaukee, over the past good few years, I've had so many different conversations with people where they're like, yeah, we really need to transform the education system, or that needs to be enhanced, or yeah, we have these different silos and there needs to be bridges between the rising generation and the ecosystem and community that's established, or between different companies and students. And there's been a lot of fantastic movement to start address a lot of that, but I think there's still some gaps that I would like to see filled, so I'm just going for it now.
That's great. Yeah, I like that you have a plan in place. I like it. Yeah, commitment, your word of your frame of mind, basically, and the weekly goals. We are very goal driven here on the Daily Grind. Do you have a word of the day to motivate our listeners out there? Besides commitment.
Yes. In addition to commitment, I think it'd also be trust, especially in relation to yourself. So oftentimes, people might be looking to external sources for the answer or direction. Like from a health standpoint, I know I had done that, especially at the beginning when I felt so lost with how my body was doing. And the doctor doesn't know more than I know. Like, I'm the only one that can know how my whole body is feeling, or that something might be a little bit off. And yes, I might not have the exact words to articulate it perfectly, but I know myself best. And then when trying to decide which path I should take, someone else can't make that decision for me, and they can't make that decision for someone else. So really coming back to this idea of trusting ourselves and just listening to what feels good to us, I think can be really powerful kind of in determining what our next step is or what habits we should be instilling, or if we have these habits, are they still serving us? And I think that trust is just learning and practicing how to be in tune with ourselves and listen and honor it is so essential.
Really, really well said. Super motivational here on today's episode. If listeners, Erin, have questions or comments or want to get in touch with you after this episode, how can they do so?
Yeah, so I'm at Erin Magennis on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And then if you want to follow along with Calmlet, it's at Calmlet Team on all of those same platforms.
Great. We will put Erin's contact info in our show notes for today. Thanks again for tuning in today's episode, and a big thank you for Erin for being on the podcast. When it comes to sharing my story, be sure to follow The Daily Grind at KJF Daily Grind on Instagram, and me, your host, at Kelly J. Lofty on Instagram or Twitter. Make sure to go to our podcast network website, ambiguousproduction.com, for more content such as UMAD Bro, the Sam Bustle Podcast, and GDP, Goal Driven Professionals. Listen on Google, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. Until next time, I'm Kelly Johnson, your host, and have a great day.